They have existed for millions of years within this ecosystem. Later on in the century, about the turn of the 1900s, there were a few years of bad fish harvest, and fishermen incorrectly blamed seals for that behavior. So what ended up happening was towns and the state worked together to put bounties on seals, and that greatly depleted the population of seals here on Cape Cod. What shifted from there was 1965, gray seals were protected by the state of Massachusetts, and then in 1972, the Marine Mammal Protection Act protected seals, so seal bounties no longer were the case, they became illegal. So for the past 50 years, since 1972, seal populations have been rebounding, which in turn means that shark populations have been rebounding. It's taken 50 years, like 1972 was 50 years ago, to see those impacts. And people are always asking at the seashore, like, why are we just now seeing sharks? It's like, well, they've always been here. We altered it, and now we're fixing it. We are just now in 2023 seeing that rebuild and regrowth of the natural ecosystem come back.
Just because animals are coming back doesn't mean that they're not in danger anymore and that we have to stop understanding and listening and looking and learning about what they're doing.
We're just now starting to see the recovery of that population after a few decades of protection. One thing that scientists are just now trying to get a handle on is what indirect impacts white sharks might have on their ecosystem. So they impact not only their prey populations in terms of impacting prey abundance, they also impact prey behavior and distribution, and those have all these top-down cascading effects.
Seals, because they are like us and they're mammals with hair, eating the same kind of fish, eating the same kind of food, any contaminant that's in the ocean will end up in them. And so they're a really good indicator to us about what might be happening to ourselves as well. There's so much we don't know about these animals that are right in our backyard. One of them is, what do they eat? You would think that that would be very straightforward. So there's a lot of research happening to understand what they eat. The bigger part of that research question is, what is the ecological role of these animals because of what they eat or because of what they poop? And what do they contribute to the marine system in general? How are they sentinels to ocean health and human health and animal health? What are they telling us about our environment that we wouldn't otherwise understand unless we had these animals to tell us?
It's important that as human beings, when we come into different environments, we do our best not to alter them and we respect the ecosystems as they have been in place. We can see the evidence of that clearly with the story of the sharks and seals here at Cape Cod.
These animals get to be over 70 years old. They don't start reproducing until they're in their mid-20s or 30s. And even when they start reproducing, they don't have a ton of babies. A female white shark will have anywhere from 2 to 17 pups every other year at best. So they're not a very productive species, and recognizing that, they were listed as a prohibited species in 1997, which means that if you're out fishing and you accidentally catch a white shark, you have to let it go with minimal harm to the animal. And so if you think about how long-lived and slow-growing these animals are, and you think about how long it's going to take them to recover from a lot of fishing pressure, it's gonna take a while.
So many different questions out there that people are looking at, from populations to foraging to health to diet to fisheries interactions with these animals. And that's another point where humans become involved, and it's not just the ecosystem but the people as well that need the resources in our ocean, and we have to figure out how to coexist together in this space.
There's a lot of research projects going on white sharks off the coast of the Cape right now. A lot of that is actually motivated by people. We're learning a ton about sharks, but really the white shark research being conducted off of Cape Cod is all about people. We're working really hard to describe their movements, their habitat use, and to characterize their predatory behavior in the waters off of Cape Cod. Because if we can identify patterns in when and where white sharks are likely to occur. That's incredibly valuable information that can allow us to identify high-risk periods to recreational water users.
We encourage people to be shark smart. Stop and read the signage. Local beaches and the Cape Cod National Seashore are posting shark information right there on the entrance to their beaches. Please make sure you stop and read that information to make yourself aware about what type of wildlife has been spotted, as well as what types of protocols are in place in case wildlife is spotted and they need to remove beachgoers from the water. We also want to make you aware of the purple shark flags that are flying. These are a visual reminder for you about the presence of white sharks off our coastline. We also want to remind everyone that when entering the water, you never want to go alone. We also want to make sure that you are then, while on the beach, listening to lifeguards and making yourself aware of any direction that they are giving to beach goers. Sharks aren't the only wild, things that we have off our coastline. There are also the seals out there, and seals are a food source for the white sharks. So you want to make sure that you avoid swimming, paddling, or surfing amongst any of the seals off our coastline. Recent research has led us to understand that when white sharks are off this coastline, they spend about 50% of their time in 15 feet of water or less. So when folks are going into the water, we want to remind them to be in waist-deep water. Because of where our coastline is, off of some of our beaches, you can take one step and be knee-deep, one more step and it's over your head because of some of those troughs. So be aware of your surroundings and the depth at which you are entering the water, and be mindful to be in waist-deep water. One of the resources the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy has is the Sharktivity app. This is a free download that you can access on your Apple or Android device, and it shares white shark sightings with you. If you are out on the water yourself and you spot a white shark, you can actually be a citizen scientist and you can input that information into the app. If you're looking to learn more about white shark activity in this area, we encourage you to reach out to the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy. We want to be here as a resource for you, so please engage with us, and we'll be sure to be available to answer your questions.
National parks are such wonderful places, and one of my favorite things about national parks is they are owned by us, the people. Our goal as a National Park Service is to preserve and protect these places for future generations. And so whether that's the next person that comes after you or, someone that comes 30 years after you. So you want to be respectful when you're at those places, not just of other visitors when you're there, but also the plants and animals. That is their home. You are entering their home. So it's really important, because we're all part of this ecosystem together, and we want it to be as thriving and as healthy as possible.